Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Pivotal Podspective. Here with you're my host. I'm your host, Elliot Brown, and of course my co-host,
Adrian Darbansu.
And how you doing, Adrian?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Just came out from a lovely walking in the park. You?
Nice. Very good. I haven't been out enough, but it's been pretty warm here today. So we're getting a definite heat wave here in the UK. And we're going to find out what the weather's like in other parts of the world when we go international with our extraordinary guests that we're going to bring on very, very, very soon. The first one of those is a hair care entrepreneur. Interesting to find out about how she's gone from an ad exec to a hair care entrepreneur. I'm intrigued, Adrian. What about yourself?
I am as well. I was just checking the website to see exactly, because they are organic or something. They're not just any hair
not just any old hair product. Exactly. No, God, no, quite clearly not.
And it's something that has a proper mission and a story behind that. So that's why we're looking to hear that.
Absolutely. And that's Lynn Power, who at the moment is in a nice little Soho bar in New York. Very nice indeed. Quite jealous, in fact, because it looks very nice there. And as we're chatting in the green room, the virtual green room. So she's been an ad exec for 30 years and decided to launch her own business, clean premium hair care brand. She did it all later in life as well with zero investment from the outside. So that's going to be quite interesting. So taking charge of your life and career at any age. We're going to be covering how to take that leap and what you need to know and how to set yourself up for success. That's one guest who by the looks of it, we've just lost. So she's going to be joining us momentarily, although you guys don't know that right now. And also then we have Caryl Mix, who's a life and strategy coach. And where was she, Adrian?
Yeah, I came a bit late.
Oh, did you? I heard that. Yeah. Near Boston in Massachusetts. So she blends life coaching with strategy to help people get twice as much done in half the time, working from the inside out. How to get out of survival mode while managing the million little fires in your life and turning these crises into catalysts without losing yourself in the process. So our subject today of taking charge of your life and career is very apt with our two guests. Should we bring them on?
Because we have guests that combine both things. So one of them it's about taking care of yourself and do things, and we have Lynn on that side that actually she just went for it and did it. So I think they go very well together.
Absolutely. Well, without further ado, why don't we bring our lovely ladies onto the show? Look at the crowd we laid on for you.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Good.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun with you today, Lynn, aren't we?
Sorry, a little New York noise in the background.
Yeah. At least we can see there's life going on in New York, which is you can't say that for everywhere, can you, Caryl?
That's true, and I'm just dreading when it gets cold out and you can't do this anymore.
No, I know. And Caryl, you're near Boston, Massachusetts. Whereabouts exactly? Oh, I couldn't hear you then.
Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, lovely. And so we're all getting good weather at the moment, which is a good thing because it keeps us all smiling, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Adrian, what's the weather been like in Romania today?
It's been actually about 28 degrees, something like that. I'm not sure how much is in Fahrenheit, but I assume something in the 90s region, close to 100, mid-80s. Like yeah. So it's been quite good. Like I said, I had really, really good weather since I came here, to be honest. Yeah, and I've been to the gym this morning. I've done quite a few things. It's been a lovely day.
Good. So we're all having a good day. That's good. We like that. All positive stuff.
Yeah.
So as we're Lynn, we've lost Lynn's sound. Oh, she's coming.
I have muted Lynn. I will just. I'm trying to unmute Lynn now, and it doesn't work.
We're definitely going to have fun with Lynn today. I can see this, but we're going to crack on with the show as renegade as we are. We just get on with it. But listen, as it lends itself quite well while we're having some fun with the sound with Lynn. Lynn's back by the looks of it. So, Caryl, we're going to go alphabetically. Listen, we know there's a lot of life coaches and coaches out there in the world. We often talk about this on the show, but I feel you do things a little differently, right?
I do. Definitely taking, and especially when working with businesses, working from the blending life coaching with business strategy. I think a lot of times when we own a business, we get running down that business track. And we're not really paying attention to how much our life is affecting what's going on in our business, or that our business is really affecting our life.
Yeah.
So learning how to manage what's going on inside of ourselves, and then stepping out into all of the other spaces where other people or other things are needing our time and attention and our energy, right?
Yeah, for sure. And as entrepreneurs, as both Adrian and I do, we mix our work and personal lives. You just do. It's just what we do. I think we all do that a little bit. It's important to if you're going to get a coach on that you can mix the two. And not all coaches do that, do they? You get business coaches which are like that, and are they life coaches? Oh, I don't know. And people try and do it the other way around, but by the sound of what you do and your notes, you manage to mix those quite well together.
Absolutely. Being an entrepreneur for 24 years, I found that I spent the majority of my life in survival mode in all areas of my life. I would be doing really well with my business goals, but then my health would be falling apart. So I'd run there to fix that, and then my marriage would start burning down. So I'd go fix that, and then my business. So around and around we'd go. So it really was great to step into the life coaching space, but also see how beneficial it was to work it into and with business strategy, working in both areas, but more so creating the systems that I needed to support myself to be happy, present, and focused, and get the things done that mattered the most. Instead of chasing everything outside of myself, trying to do it all. It doesn't work. I tried it.
Yeah. Listen, we've had this conversation a few times. I've definitely been trying to do a bit of that recently. In fact, I think both Adrian and I have both been doing that recently, haven't we, my friend?
Yeah. And when we stop doing it, it feels like a relief, to be honest. That's something that I actually felt very recent. Due to some events turning in a different way. And I just realized again that trusting my gut instinct, it's always a good thing, all right? Just do whatever your gut tells you when it tells you, not keep, it's a different story, but I'm happy that it ended.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, we're going to come back and find out more about you in a minute, Caryl. What we're going to do is find out. I'm intrigued, Lynn, how you went from being an ad exec to advertising executive, if people don't know what that is, which you should do, but if you don't, for 30 years, to then suddenly get into the hair care business, which is not an easy market to get into, right?
Yeah, beauty is super crowded, and thank you for sharing my age, because we love that, right? But yeah,
you could have started the business at a very early age, so we're not giving anything away here.
Exactly. I'm really only 35, but
exactly.
It's all good. So yeah, I was in advertising for a really long time. I was doing a lot of work for other people building their brands, and I kind of hit the wall where I decided, you know what, it's time to take control and do it for myself. And serendipity, I met my partner, who's been working for 10 years. Imagine the craziness or the passion, however you want to define it, of someone that basically does that, right? Spends all of his time and money working on the side project without knowing what's going to happen. But when I met him, he had pretty much, fine-tuned the formulations to be really good, and I knew we could make it work. And he didn't know marketing and branding at all. He was like a producer. He worked at Caryl for 20 years on hair care shoots. So we're a great team because we complement each other, and he does all the stuff I don't like to do. and I do all the stuff he doesn't really like to do, and it works out. So we decided to launch Masami. We launched in February, and I have to say it's been really liberating doing it for myself instead of, having clients. I'm my own client, which either means I'm a really bad client or I'm a really good client, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. Oh, it's excellent. Listen, we've just got a quick hello. I told you guys, didn't I, that my mum was going to come and say hello. Good evening, Elliot Adrian and guests, listening as usual from sunny Spain. She is definitely. So I just thought I'd bring that on. Listen, if you are watching this and you want to ask questions or make comments, please do drop it in the comments below. Give us some love hearts and some thumbs up if you love what we're doing. If there's any questions you want to ask them, please drop in the comments and we'll make sure that we ask our guests. Or if you want to ask ourselves, no problem at all. So Lynn, I mean, you were saying that, quite interestingly, that hair care products, your partner doesn't have hair, and your hair doesn't necessarily lend itself to the industry, but you still got yourself into it. But that doesn't mean anything, does it? We don't necessarily have to have the attribute to work to do something well in an industry.
Yeah, I mean, you were breaking up a little, so I didn't hear everything, but I think what you're asking is something about my bad hair and being still in the business.
I was way more diplomatic than bad hair, to be fair. Okay. I would never have said that, but you said it, not me.
Yeah, no, you know what? Okay, what I'll say is I've always loved working in beauty. When I was in advertising, I had a number of beauty clients over the years. I worked on L'Oreal, I worked on Clinique, I worked on Vichy, I worked on Nexus. So I've just always felt the draw and the appeal to that industry. And I kind of think, everyone has aspirations to have better hair. So maybe this is the best my hair can be. I will say after using Masami for the last year and testing it, very hydrated, very soft. So there's that. But I think really, if you're going to launch a business, it's about finding something that is, inspires you and something that you're going to want to do day in and day out, because it's a 24/7 kind of thing. Being an entrepreneur, business owner, there's never any downtime. I actually like that. Caryl talked about, blending earlier. I'm a huge fan of blending my personal life and my family life. I've dragged
we can see that.
Yeah, exactly. I've dragged my poor 16-year-old daughter to a beauty trade show and made her work the booth with her Masami shirt on, much to her angst. And I think that's just the way that you get stuff done these days, is just figuring it out and kind of blending it all together. But I think to kind of go back to the hair question, you have to be passionate about what you're doing and really love it, because otherwise it's you're going to just get fried, completely burned out, and that's no fun. So, you got to at least be able to get up and be like, yes, we're working on a new product, or we've got, a beauty show or something that's going to excite you that you can look forward to, especially in this COVID world when everything is Zoom. And I'm fortunate because I'm sitting here in New York City and there are people around, so I can actually have interaction, even if it's 6 feet away with a waiter. It's
of course.
Still is like a human. But most of our lives are on Zoom right now, which is challenging. So I think that makes it even more essential to you got to do what you love, because it can be like Groundhog Day otherwise, day in, day out. It's just painful. So anyway,
I'm curious about something. Actually, even today I was listening. It was a podcast. It was a Gary Vee podcast, and he was talking with a guy he was a marketing guy, the other guy, and he was just with big brands. And he said, at some point, he just started his own business, because he said, if I am a marketing guy, why the hell I would keep selling my great marketing skills for all those companies and not actually build mine? So after I've worked all this time for so many people and I've been successful, they were big companies, it would be a no-brainer to now start my company. So I'm just curious if you had any of those thoughts or any of those moments.
I think I spent a lot of time helping other brands grow. There are some case studies that, I worked on Hershey's for a really long time, and, helping them actually create billion-dollar brands. And it does to feel a bit like, wait a minute, I'm applying all my skills to these other companies, and they're making a lot of money, and I'm getting my little salary, and I'm getting a lot of pain because I'm dealing with all the problems, because it's you're in a service industry. So I think that, the other benefit of taking control of your life is you live or die by your decisions. And, being an older founder, there's sort of, I have definitely felt ageism. That's a whole thing we could get into if we wanted to.
Get off. No, I don't believe in it. Age is a state of mind, Lynn.
Well, I think that, but I've had investors say, without knowing that I was listening, that I'm too old to start a company.
What?
Yes.
Cheeky bastards.
Yes.
How old were those investors? Just out of curiosity.
So first of all, this investor was on the phone with my husband, who is our we're self-funded, so he's like our investment arm, and he was asking about the team, and he's in his 60s.
What?
He's in his 60s.
And he was saying that about you. What a cheeky! That makes no sense.
And when he asked Bill, well, who's running the company, and he said, oh, here, he basically described my experience, and the guy stopped him mid-sentence and said, how old is she? And Bill said, 52, because this was last year. And he said, it's never going to work. Too old, never going to work. She'll never have the energy to do it. And I'm like, have you heard me? I'm like, my kids can't keep up with me. So it's like, it's just, there's a lot of ageism and stereotypes and things that exist. I don't know. I got derailed on that. Sorry. I can't even remember.
No. You know what? That's what I love. We love that about. Sorry, Adrian, go on.
Exactly. It's right. Just because I never heard that. Actually, I never thought that could be possible.
No.
Maybe I would say something like, if it's someone is in his 99 or 99-year-old, something like that, and if he plans to do a different type of company. But at the end of the day, what the hell? I'm just thinking now, KFC, Colonel Sanders, how old was he when he actually did it?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I do think the benefit of being experienced is that I don't question decisions. I make decisions fast. I rely on my experience. That's how we got onto this, because you're saying doing it for other people versus doing it. So I've done it so many times for other people that I know that now, like I don't second guess my decisions. I don't regret it. If it's a bad decision, I move on. I do something else. You know what I mean? You just figure it out. I think when you're younger, you don't have that confidence. You don't have that ability to just make stuff happen really fast. You're more self-conscious about, every little decision. And so I think the benefit of being an older founder is A, decision making, B, building a team. You can really bring the right people in around you, and you know what those people look like, and you know what capabilities you need, and it's just a lot easier. And you've seen it all before, right? Like, there's pretty much nothing at this point that I haven't seen. So you kind of, you just get a little Teflon, because you kind of can know how to deal and flex and pivot, and nothing feels like a huge catastrophe, because you kind of like dealt with it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, Caryl, from your point of view, I mean, Lynn sort of clearly, by the sounds of it, there's a lot of experience that went with that, and as Adrian quite well, said very well. It was, those doing it for other people and then transferring that and going, well, do you know what? I can do this. I love the industry. I'm passionate about it. That makes it easier to work with, anybody, doesn't it? To help them with their business. If you're doing that, I'm assuming. I know assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. So I'm not going to assume anything. I shouldn't assume anything in these shows. How do you work? How do you tend to work with people? Because you've got to fight, as you said, you fight fires, you turn that into positive stuff. It's, not everybody is going to find that transition like Lynn has. And a lot of people in the last 8 months are trying to get businesses going and things. And you must have seen a big shift with that. And I'm not being funny. There's fire after fire if you have the wrong mindset at the moment and you absorb what's going on around there in the big wide world. How do you use that? How do you use that sort of negativity and turn that into positivity on a sort of a life and strategy sort of viewpoint?
Well, it's about helping people to shift their mindset and really start to see different angles and views, especially in their experiences or even their past experiences. If we're looking for the lessons that we need to learn and move them forward, as Lynn had said, learning through all those years of experience of what to do and what not to do, and really shifting the mindset. But at this point, it's really about helping people get clear about what they want.
Yeah.
And dealing with a lot of people that are so overwhelmed by life and so many choices, and they know they need to make a move, but they're lacking the steps, or even what is the first step. You know, a lot of my male clients are like, just tell me the next step so I can get going.
Yeah.
They're caught up behind that obstacle, you know? So it really truly is a blend of touching various areas, but it's setting them up with the clarity that they need to make sure they're moving in the right direction that they want to, and then having the systems or the processes needed. And then by me being accountable and there to support and guide them and brainstorm, because as entrepreneurs, we're pretty isolated. We're idea generators, right? We come up with amazing ideas.
Creatives.
Exactly. Yeah. But without having that sounding board, or if you don't have the support around you, say, you know, somebody in your family or those closest to you can't understand how we think. So having that support around you, whether it's one-to-one in coaching, or I also do group coaching in small groups that are tight, that we can all kind of have a think tank around what it is that we need for ourselves and each other. You know, I can teach you anything that I know and have experienced or what I've been educated on, but we all learn so much from each other's stories. And we're so affected by what another person has gone through. And if any, well, you guys must see this constantly on this show, is how amazing are our human stories and our experiences, right?
Definitely. So varied.
Right. And then the links that we can make in our own life by someone's experience or how they broke through something or changed something. It's so dynamic that we do have this type of technology to connect, especially in this time, but to also hear and understand and see each other through our own stories. It's amazing.
Yeah. Listen, quite an interesting point, actually, the group coaching. I mean, you know, Adrian and I both have obviously spoken to coaches. We've had experience with coaches and worked with coaches, and, you know, but also we've spoken to a number of coaches as well. I quite like the group coaching. I actually wasn't necessarily a believer of before, but I actually, in getting involved in masterminds and things like that, there's quite a lot more power in a group coaching session actually than a one-to-one. So one-to-one, you've got to know what you want from your coach as well, which a lot of people don't, and they get guided by the coach, which I also think doesn't necessarily work unless that coach really has a real grasp on what the hell you want to get from it. But your group coaching sessions are a little bit like a mastermind as well, aren't they? Do you find that works better than sort of a one-on-one, or they have different elements? I mean, I'm just asking your opinion. I don't know what works better or not. I have no idea.
I think that it is a preference thing, and I basically look for what the person is trying to accomplish first before I recommend which direction they go. But what I have found, I've shifted my coaching to a weekly coaching, because as adults, we are very sneaky. We are the best liars to ourselves, right? I'm going to do that.
Speak for yourself.
So even going to a bi-weekly for an adult is way too much time for us to get off track on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So finding with the accountability is with the group coaching is really putting several layers of accountability in there that are fun and engaging, because that's the other part that's happening for us adults. We're not fun anymore. You know, I had become the most unfun person that I knew, because I was so focused on, I got to get the things done. So it's really about how do we have connection with others that are just like us, but also fun ways to stay connected and accountable to what it is that we want. You know, and Lynn had stated earlier, she said it so perfectly, but my coaching is, a lot of it is based on helping us to get back to what excited us about what we got into in the first place. It's so easy to get off track with that. So I love both for different reasons, but it really is a preference thing, and it goes based on what that person needs most and how can they amplify it. Like I said, I want to see them getting twice as much done in half the time. So what's the fastest vehicle that somebody can get into that's fun and they can get there and have a blast while doing it?
Yeah. Speaks a lot of sense for a life coach, Adrian. I'm impressed, Caryl.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just to unmute Lynn now, and again the things are playing up. But
Lynn, can you unmute yourself?
I unmute Lynn, and it's gonna work at some point. I hope so. It's just the thing that I want to say. The most powerful mindset session that I've ever done. Actually, it was. I think we were 80 people in a mastermind, and I think it was Saturday night. It was from Friday till Saturday. We've just done. I keep trying to unmute Lynn, but
we've lost her.
I
She'll be back in a minute.
It wasn't me, all right. Something. But yeah, it was from Friday till Sunday, and on Saturday night, actually, all of us got together in a room where we have not talked about necessarily business or other things, but it was mastermind, and all of us asked questions, opened up, thought about our personal lives and stuff like that. And that was extremely powerful. And just because, maybe being one-on-one, you don't necessarily have all the courage to open up fully or say things, but when you have someone else in your group that you see they open up, you kind of find that you've been in similar situations and all that. It's way easier to discuss about things.
Yeah, definitely. Lynn, have you had any need for coaching? Do you get coaching? Do you have people around you that could help to coach you anyway? Because I know you've got a team around you anyway, haven't you?
I'm a big believer in building a network of trusted advisors, however those might look. And some of them are older, some of them are peers, some of them are younger. I mean, I get more learning from a couple people on my team that are, 10, 15 years younger than me. And even my kids. I mean, they're basically telling me, don't even try TikTok. You're going to embarrass yourself. And I'm like, okay, fine. But, you need those different perspectives. So I think one of the best things founders can do is to build a network of people of support that you can go to with various questions, problems, solutions, support each other, and have that built-in network. Because if you don't have that, it can be very lonely. It can be very difficult. It can be, you're grinding it out. And back to our earlier conversation about blend, that I have my own business. One of the best things about it is I work only with my friends. It's I've completely blended my personal life, my business life, and for me that works amazingly well because my co-founder partner and I are very close. We get to go to Japan together. We, the rest of our team they're all like really awesome people and really good at what they do. And I think that's another thing, besides getting a network of advisors, is to build your team in a way that there's a lot of trust and respect, and you're not second guessing what people's motives are or what they're up to.
I think you're very fortunate, Lynn. You're very fortunate, one, to be able to do business with people and have that group around you. That's probably because of what you did for many years, and you were quite clear on when you were setting your business up and what you needed to do because of your experience. And let's face it, in the big wide world, in the modern world, even more so now, having that advertising background and that mentality, that creative, but with processes, is a great skill to have in setting any business up. Not everybody has that. They might have a creativity, they don't have the processes, and they don't necessarily know all the pieces to put together, but you're quite fortunate. Caryl, people aren't as fortunate as Lynn generally, though, are they, when they set a business up? And I know that, and Adrian knows that. We've been through those experiences. We can't always work with our friends and have those people around us, but I do think it's important to have people around you that are advisors. In essence, they're coaches as well and mentors, aren't they, as well? As you said, your kids come up with stuff sometimes. But Caryl, what do you have a way of sort of getting people to try and structure things, to chunk it down, so that when they want to take charge of things and go, yeah, do you know what, I'm absolutely going to do this. I'm going to push forward with this business idea, but I'm on my own. What do you get them to look at first? How do you get them to chunk it down?
So a lot of us get into business because we're doing the thing that we were so passionate about. And I'll use like coaching as an example, coaching other coaches. And nobody tells us what the back end of a business looks like or how to set that up. And it's a nightmare, right? There's 1,000 arms coming off of this. So in order for me to start working with them, I need to see where their focus is for most of the time and what's going on with their time. So what I help them do is really to get in control of their time and then how they're prioritizing it. And then also compartmentalize it so they are touching all of the areas and the processes that are needed in each area. Because a lot of people know that they've got to do bookkeeping, but they have no idea how to set that up and make sure that it's getting done and attended to. You know, and we're the ones that know we've blown off that reconciliation for 8 months. You know, we're checking the account. Is there money in there? Cool. All right, keep going. But it still needs to be done, especially when it comes to the end of the year and it's time for taxes or whatnot. You know, so really helping people to gain control of the time that they have right now, because the biggest complaint that I have from entrepreneurs is a time issue. You know, they're overwhelmed. There's not enough time. And what I say to people is that's really a symptom of what's going on. You know, so instead of just treating symptoms that are outside of you, let's get on the inside of what's really happening for you. And a lot of times it is a disconnection to the business or those parts of the business. There's disconnections in their marriage because they're missing their partner, or they don't have the proper boundaries that are needed in order to show up, or they just haven't even scheduled the time to do a lot of this back end work because they're so busy being the practitioner in the business. So there's a big difference with time that's scheduled to work in the business and on the business. So reminding them of that and to create that time where they want to go into it, because that's the other part. A lot of things we don't understand, we have massive resistance because we don't do that well. We're going to stick with what we know and what we do well and what's easiest, right? But when we start to fall in love with all the pieces of our business, then we can begin to kind of integrate the pieces of the puzzle. You know, most entrepreneurs will come to me and they're like, all the pieces of the puzzle are tipped upside down. Some of them are on the floor. They don't even know what they're building anymore. They just know that there's not enough time and I'm not happy. So how do we fix that? So it's really about flipping those pieces over, getting all the junk out of the way, because there's always so much clutter around, and really just creating the space for them to focus in a way that is fun, engaging, and they want to show up to that space.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Adrian, but I mean, you know, down here, Lynn is definitely ticked off a lot of these boxes. Lynn, you're doing all right. I mean, you know, you're smiling, you're mixing the business and the work, and we need to take a few leaves out of your book, Lynn, and apply that to our business. What do you reckon, Aid?
It's all a facade, but no, I think the reality is what resonated to me about what Caryl was saying is I think one of the things that I've learned, and again, this comes with experience, is what I like to do, what I'm actually good at, and what I'm not good at, and what I don't like. And I think the key to starting a business is having that self-introspection to understand those things, because no one's an expert in everything. It's impossible. And I've met so many women who have delayed starting something because they think they have to like get all this expertise and have all the pieces in place. And it's like, well, that's crazy. You don't have to figure everything out. And it's impossible. I mean, just the Facebook and Instagram algorithms changing every day alone makes it impossible for you to stay on top of everything. So forget it. So I think the key is figure out what you like to do and then bring in people to do the stuff you hate. I do not like doing finance and analytics. I have supplemented on my team. I've got other people that do that for me, and I don't have to worry about it. They love making breathtaking spreadsheets, not my jam. So I think that's part of the sort of introspection and evolution of being a founder is having that realization and then building out your capabilities as you need to, not necessarily waiting until you figure it all out yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about something. So what do you do when someone asks you to do way more that you want to do? Or because I bet you've been asked in your job before, maybe you carry, when someone sees you good at everything and they try to use you in every little piece that they can, how do you deal with that?
Was this to me or Caryl?
That's for both of you, to be honest. So yeah, but let's Lynn, maybe you can answer.
I guess I'll answer, but I am a yes person, and it's one of the things I've also realized about myself. It's really a bad quality, because no is very powerful, and you need to set boundaries, and you need to be able to say no. And if you're somebody who, like I am, I'm a middle child, I'm a pleaser, I'm a negotiator. So, you know, I want to say yes. So throughout my career, whenever I've been asked to take on that extra work or double an account or, you know, fill for somebody, I'm always like, yeah, okay, no problem. I'm a team player. But I think you do have to set boundaries for yourself at a personal level. And you know what? I've learned, and it's not easy, because if this is who you are, like as a human intrinsically, it's hard to actually feel like you're letting people down when you say no, but you're not, because ultimately you're going to perform better and you're going to be happier and you're not going to burn yourself out. And I think most employers hopefully will understand that if you're saying, no, I really can't take that on, you know, that they don't penalize you for that. So it's hard though, because again, this is maybe a female thing more than a male thing, but you know, we are accustomed to wanting to do everything, and a lot of times we do, and it works, so we just do more. But
sometimes it backfires. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I think both Adrian and I, we definitely do that. We say yes too many times. We want to please. We're servers. I mean, we all like to serve, don't we? I mean, we wouldn't be entrepreneurs trying to create products, services, you know, brands, whatever it is, for other people if we didn't want to serve. That's our purpose. That's what we do. We're here to do that. We're creatives. And you're right. I think there was a point where, I think if you went to a particular type of coach, and Caryl, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of coaches would say yes and then, you know, and then try and deal with it afterwards. I think you're right, Lynn. I think saying no, you know, when it isn't something that you absolutely need to do, or possibly are even capable of doing.
I think it's more like want to as well. Yeah.
I have two strategies for that. Well, actually 3. And speaking to Lynn's point, the no is a complete sentence. So knowing that inside, but the second strategy in stepping into the clarity is really being clear at the front of the day on what your priorities are for the day. When you know that this is what I have to get done, then it's going to help say, I can't say yes to this because this isn't going to get done. So really being connected to your own priorities first. And then it's also being clear, Adrian, earlier on in the show, you had mentioned about listening to your gut. And when you check in and decide how you want to feel, and you know how you want to feel, and if it doesn't meet that standard, then the answer is no. It's a little bit easier. And it's just like, no, I don't have to do that. You know, we all want to please people. We all want the people around us to be happy. Nobody's looking for turmoil, right? But a lot of
some maybe.
Right? Most of us, most sane people, but when we are saying yes to everybody else, we are saying no to ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're not considering ourselves till the end of the day when we're falling asleep, when we have that little, 10 minutes of quiet time to replay the day. And it's really, paying attention to how do I want to feel? So that clarity that you create starts every single day. If you wake up and your feet hit the floor, what am I crystal clear on what I need to do for me and for my business? And that helps create those boundaries and the connection that you need to stay connected to your mission or what it is that you're excited about in your business. But that's the laser focus that a lot of us are missing because we're being pelted by what everybody's throwing or what we're running off to do or avoid or all of the things, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes absolute sense.
It makes complete sense. And I've asked that just because I think most or some of us or maybe most people, have been in this type of situations and they just especially if you're a person that cares. And I'm asking all these questions now just because, like I've told Ilya before, sometimes we should take advantage of our guests, and if we have an issue or we have some proper questions, we should ask them, even if they're gonna benefit ourselves, but they're gonna benefit other people as well. All right, it's just a situation that happened to me. So, for example, I got into a project that it was a big no from the beginning. I've tried to stay out of it and all that, but then so even the let's say the customer was quite it was quite, saying that I want you to do this. And I said, okay, let's give it a try. But I knew from the beginning there were some red flags and things like that. Okay, and it backfired, and then just taught me again that say no when you're supposed to say no, or when you feel it from the beginning, and that's why I've asked you, what do you do when someone's asked you to do? Same like I'd come to Lynn, and I know she does marketing, but I say, okay, so Lynn, I want you to do the whole marketing, okay? But usually, again, marketing is a very big subject. It has different niches, sub niches or subtopics. And same like I would come to you, Caryl, and say, I know you do coaching. Well, I want you to coach me in everything, even become a performance athlete, for Arnold America, something like that, which it's impossible sometimes. Yeah.
I think you're the clarity side, Caryl, that you're mentioning. That's the difficulty a lot of people find. I mean, Lynn, I'm going to ask you in a second because I'm intrigued. Even in the beginning stages, and even with your experience, I know that micro business owners, small business owners, one-man banders, professionals, however you want to class them, where it's just one person in the office. It's easier to to get the overwhelm there, isn't it? It's easier to try and take on too much. Even when there's a couple of you in the business. In your early days, Lynn, I mean, when you were sort of transitioning, did you still get that? Did you have a close knit team around you straight away? I know, obviously, you had your partner. But did you have those days where you've got you're trying to do 10 people's jobs, or both of you are trying to do 5 or 10 people's jobs, and you literally it's too much. It's almost like I the way I say it is I literally feel like my head is full of cotton wool sometimes. It's like I cannot even think. You've got to step away from everything. Do you get that, Lynn? I mean, do you still get that now? But did you get that in the early days?
Yeah, no, there are definitely days when I'm like, oh my God, it is crazy. And I think the thing that most people don't realize, or maybe they do, but they don't want to think about it. When you're starting a business, you are customer service, you're R&D, you're dealing with invoices, you're dealing with everything. And even if you have people around you to help, they still come to you for all that stuff and ask you questions and want answers. And if you have some, customer putting a question on your website, you have to answer it. There's just a lot of detailed stuff. And it can easily bog you down if you let it. And so I think the key is try to give yourself, what I try to do is give myself weekly priorities, yearly goals, so big goals, chunk it into weekly priorities, and then try to keep my days on track. Because if you don't do that, you can literally get sucked in doing Twitter posts every day. You'll just be in this, churn of minutia, and you gotta balance it out. You gotta have both. You gotta get that done, but you gotta also keep your eye on the big guys and your bigger goal.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's right. And we started off with talking, taking charge of yourself and your business, and I think we've definitely picked up on quite a few things of how to do that. Caryl, have you got any extra tips that you could give to help somebody to take charge of what they're doing and sort of move forward? I mean, to get a little bit of clarity. What tip would you give somebody that is getting that overwhelm? For example?
For that type of overwhelm, what I recommend for people to do is really tap into what their body is saying to them. Our bodies are speaking all the time and we're ignoring them. And most of the time we listen to our bodies when it sits us down and we can't get up now. So we've passed all of the stop signs. We've blown through the yellow lights. We're just we're pushing and pushing. So really creating that gap space in between what's going on in your day. Most of us are up 17 hours a day. We're awake and we're active in our lives doing what we've got to do. So for you to take a 15-minute break to go for a quick walk, Adrian, you talked about that. You just got back from a walk, right? And really connecting back into nature, getting away from our devices. We're connected to them 24/7, connecting back to the people that we need to have. So for me, it's really about listening to your body. It's telling you when that pressure is building up and when you've got to back out and be able to clear the space to come back in to see things with fresh eyes. And a lot of times we're holding on to something and we're trying to grind it out, and we have nothing left to contribute to what it is that we're working on. But and even for myself, I'm writing a piece. I'll get up, I'll go in the house, I'll get a drink, I'll do something different, I'll come back and I'll see something or think of something that makes it so much better just by getting up, walking away, and giving myself a little bit of a gap, just a fresh breath. So those are the two things that I definitely, when you're in overwhelm, what's going on for your body. And then also, how are you resting your mind as well? Because again, our minds are nonstop, right? So, and when most people say, for years have had people say, you need to meditate, you need to calm down. I'm not a person
Caryl, I can't do that. That's simple, right?
What I have found, though, is for me, I found different ways to meditate. I meditate through photography and nature. So if I have my camera with me, I take amazing photos with my camera, but that's a meditation, walking and using my other senses.
Okay.
Tuning into my ears. What do I hear? And what do I smell? And all of our other senses need us to be using them as well. So that's a meditation as well.
It.
And that's where, again, you're resting your mind and you can come back sharper, and you can do all of those things in little as 2 minutes or 15 minutes. And those breaks are enough to recharge you when you are feeling overwhelmed.
I like that. That's a different twist. I like that. It's an interesting way of putting it, for sure. Have you got a question for Lynn about something, Adrian?
No, I'm curious if she does things like this, and she goes maybe and does a different activity, which is completely different for everything that she does.
Yeah.
She goes to Soho drinking.
Yeah,
exactly. Wine is amazing. I will say that I've started doing daily yoga, and so I love what Caryl's saying. I've been doing literally this yoga with Adrian online, YouTube. You can go check her out. So easy, half-hour a day, do it in the morning, and it just kind of helps you reset. And then I've also just been trying to sleep, because I'm a great sleeper. You can hear that behind me, huh?
Yeah. It's all right. No, it's right. I'm curious now, actually, about the sleep. So usually, what time do you go to bed and when do you wake up? And that's a question for both of you.
We have to be honest about this.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah. Wait, because it's always a question. I mean, I'm talking about trying to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning at the moment and trying to change my pattern completely, which I really honestly don't think is going to work, but I'll give it a go. I'm willing to try something different. But yeah, Lynn, I mean, let's go you first. What time do you go to bed and what time do you get up if you try to change that routine?
I'm a night owl. I'll go to bed at midnight, but I get up at like 7 or 8. I try to get 8 hours.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my thing.
What do you do usually first thing in the morning?
Yoga.
First thing.
Yeah.
Cool. At least you're taking care of something for yourself. We've lost Lynn again, but I'm not overly surprised. And Caryl, what do you what do you do? What are your hours sleep?
So I am a blend. I am a morning bird and I'm a night owl. But what I have found is I really needed to tune into where my most productive times are. And I find that in the afternoon and into early evening, after my husband and I have different schedules. So I spend a little time with him. He goes to bed and then I'm up until maybe midnight is probably close to my time. When I get up in the morning, I set my work hours to start at 10 a.m. So okay. I have that block of time. I do what's called morning miles. I have a mountain dog, so I walk with her. So I start my day out in nature, walking, connecting with her. I take care of what I need to do in the morning. I have a morning habit of deciding in 6 areas of my life what my intentions are for those areas, and then identifying what my priorities are for the day. So as long as I get these things done and I touch back to them, then I'm great. I also have an evening habit that I've established of celebrating. For so many years, I would fall into bed and think about everything that either went wrong or that I didn't do. And that would wake me up. I could not go to sleep. But I was also missing all of the small little great things that were going on in my life. And then another year of my life would pass by and I'd say, what have I accomplished? So by journaling what went well that day, even if it's one thing, even if it's just, a meaningful conversation or a client's win or something that I'm celebrating, I'm now creating the evidence of what's really great in my life instead of every night going to bed heavy with what I didn't accomplish. So those are a couple of habits that I've added into those key points in time.
I like it. Great. Being grateful. Hey,
especially what I didn't accomplish side. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've lost Lynn, but we'll get some links from Lynn anyway. But listen, Caryl, I genuinely, as a life coach, I'm always a little skeptical with people until I start speaking to them, and you understand why, because there's a lot of people that say they are life coaches. You're very clear. You're very concise with what you do and how you do it, and actually really like how you come across and the way you look at things as well. It's quite refreshing, in fact, don't you think, Adrian?
Definitely. It's just, again, it's not, we always like things like you didn't said you must do things, right? You just said whatever works for you. And that's, we like those type of people, people that just understand the fact that there isn't a perfect recipe or a perfect program for someone. It's just whatever works for you. And it's true. You have to try it a few times. You have to try different things and see exactly what works. You still need to put the effort in and, just go with that and not just quit after one day. So I really like your approach.
Yeah. So me too. And where can people find you, Caryl? We've put a link there, but for anybody that's listening to this as an audio podcast, which is going to get turned into in the next month or so, where can people find you?
So my website is one way to reach out to me, and it's carylmix.com. It's CARYLMIX.com. And I love to hang out on Facebook and connect there with people. And again, it's just my name. Caryl Mix, or Coach Caryl Mix is the business side of Facebook.
Great stuff. And Lynn, although she's disappeared, is Love Masami, isn't it? Or Masami, I think it was
Masami.com.
Yeah, Masami.com. And we'll make sure there's another link dropped in there as well, so you can find Lynn as well. Listen, I really enjoyed this evening. I think it's a great subject. I think there was from two very different sides, some great tips and tricks and pivotal ways of how to do things when you want to get yourself focused, get yourself moving forward, take charge of your life, and make shit happen, basically, for you and your business. I love that.
Yes, for sure. And thank you so much for having me. I love the conversation, but I love the different angles that all of us bring to it. And again, as I had said, each of us have a different perspective to bring to the same exact topic, and it affects, other people will feel and respond in kind. So thank you so much for opening the conversation and starting it.
You're very, very welcome.
Yeah, we thank you as well, Caryl. It was a great show.
Absolutely. And if you guys, anybody that's watching or listening, want to get on the show, then you go over to the Essex Business Radio Facebook page, tap on send a message, and then tap on get on a show, and there'll be several questions that Elliot Bot will take you through. And if you answer those and it's a good mix, it's a good fit, then we'll be getting you on the show. You can find out everything else that's going on, or posts and the guests that are coming on. We've got Lewis coming on tomorrow, who's from The Apprentice UK. So he's going to be chatting with us, which will be quite interesting, and looking forward to that. He's got some new things that are going on. Also want to find out what it's like behind the scenes on The Apprentice as well, which would be pretty cool. So we're looking for that. But if you want to know what's going on and what's going to happen, then keep an eye out on Facebook or other social media, Essex Business Radio, apart from Twitter, which is Essex Biz Radio. Thanks again, Caryl. Thanks, Lynn, although she's not here now. If you are watching this in future and you want to send messages, please do. So make a comment on the show. We'll get you on. Love hearts and thumbs up to let us know what's going on. And any questions you want, if you want them asked to particular guests or anything like that after the show, when you see this and if you're watching it afterwards, put hashtag replay and put the question down there, and we'll see if we can get that answer for you. Adrian, thanks very much for joining us, of course, and being the wonderful co-host that you are.
Thank you, Elliot, and thank you, Caryl, and thank you, Lynn, as well. Yeah, and thank you to our listeners, and to your mom as well. She never disappoints us.
She doesn't. Yeah, thanks, Caryl, and thank you to you all for watching. Big love to you all. Have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. Big love to you all, and we're going to sign off for now. So I'm going to say ciao for now.
Brown cow.